Hi everyone. So today I wanted to do my talk. It's been a busy day for me. I got up this morning and I had things that I had committed to. I did some listening circles for Regis College, and also I had a training to do with HRPA. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about our values and how we can give back to others in the country that we come to. I know I always talk about John Maxwell, but today I'm not going to talk about that so much. So what I have done since I've come to Canada, I've been involved in the church a lot, and I used to coordinate the children's liturgy for the little ones. Every Sunday, myself and one of my colleagues would take them down and we would do an activity with them. Sometimes it was reading a scripture to them, getting them to color, teaching them about prayer. And they were so cute because they're small children. So they used to come and hold our hands and come down with us. So I did that for a while. And then I helped also with the Eucharistic ministry. Once Pope Francis implemented the washing of the feet for women, which we had in Zimbabwe before, Father called me up and I was one of the ones chosen to have my feet washed. And I said to him, Father, are you sure? Because I don't need to do it. And he said, no, I want you to come up this year and I want you to do it. So I've had that done, and that is basically a reaffirming of the commissioning, because it's when Jesus sends his disciples out. So I was commissioned at Regis when I graduated as an Ignatian spiritual director, and then Father asked me to come up, and this year I went up as well because they didn't have enough people, and Father said, please can people come up, and nobody was going up. So I went with one of the other women in my parish, and she's an elderly lady and she was so happy. She said, I've never ever had that done for me before. She said, thank you for coming up with me. So that was nice. So some of the things that we get to do as women, other women, older women have not had the chance to do, but some of the things they did, we don't have the chance to do. So my mom was a treasurer with the Catholic Women's League. She got to meet Pope John Paul II. My dad got to meet a pope when he went to Rome. So I don't think I'll get those opportunities, but I almost did when there was an invitation on what was Twitter. I put my name forward, but then there was no proper arrangements in place. They didn't tell you where you can stay, what hotels were nearby, what the program was going to be. It was just come meet Pope Francis. And when I tried to reach out to different Jesuits, they're like, we don't know, we're going to stay with our Jesuit communities. So it wasn't very well coordinated, and I landed up giving up my ticket to go. But that's part of what I've done in the parish. And then for many years now, I've been helping with the rosary. They ask us to do the rosary 20 minutes before Mass, and Margaret, who organizes it, she will reach out to me and she'll ask me if I can do it for her. So I've been doing that for a long time, and also I read at church. So the reading is the main thing I do now. I don't do all the others that often unless Father Larry asks me to do it. I'm also volunteering with the One campaign. So when the Human Rights Concert came to Zimbabwe, my cousin Sharon and myself, we went to watch it. And at that time it was very new. And our parents were so excited for us. They're like, go and enjoy it. Because we never had those opportunities to go. It was always for the white children. So we went and we had a great time. It was good fun. It was nice to see the artists, and Sharon and I, we remain close. Even till now we're close. And I follow those artists. I've been following them from childhood. Sting, Usain Bolt, Tracy Chapman, Peter Gabriel. They were all the artists that fought for Mandela's freedom. Paul Simon, Phil Collins, I don't even know all their names. And then we had Live Aid with Bob Geldof. So that's where it started. And then when I was in England, I used to protest for Zimbabwe in front of Zimbabwe House because of the land grabs and what was happening. There were a lot of people, and we don't do what these people are doing now, breaking things, putting graffiti all over, hitting people, destroying people's lives. It was peaceful protest. So I used to also go because I also wanted to go back to Zimbabwe. I didn't think I was going to be living in a foreign country. And then I came here, I came to Canada because of the political problems as a skilled worker. And I got involved in the church. I got involved with Out of the Cold, United Way, so many organizations, the Young Street Mission, Victor Fred Society, Coldest Night of the Year. There's so many of them. I don't have all of them on my LinkedIn, but I did a lot. And then I volunteered at St. Michael's Hospital in the cardio ICU lounge, the visitors lounge. So when families came in, I would just make sure they were comfortable, sit with them, pray with them, put out the cookies and the tea and coffee, and then clean up before I left. And also go around the beds with the patients and just go through, see how the families were doing. And then I also went into the cancer area. We had one young man who, the treatments and everything, it left him looking like he was burnt on one side of his face. And his mom and dad asked me, can you please go and visit him, just put your hands on him and just talk to him. So I used to go, but it was very hard. I never used to cry in front of them, but it was hard. It was very hard for me. And, the cost of the medication and the treatments and all that, the family said, we don't know what we're going to do because we had to sell our place and now that money is also run out. And it was hard to listen to some of their journeys and what they had been through. But that's the only position I could get to try to use my spiritual direction skills in a formal position, a professional position. Other than that, everything I did on my own. I registered with Spiritual Directors International, and some of my professors, I had put it as a project at first, so they had tried to help me with recommendations, and I didn't get anything from that. So I did it voluntarily. I didn't charge people. And then I also help with Wits. So Wits University is in South Africa. It's one of the universities that stood up to racism, and where people of all colors and backgrounds and faiths could go to university. And I've been doing that for about 10 years. I helped to organize events here, meetings with the Shomalong project that we did. I used to meet with Professor Barry. So Prof. Barry used to come from South Africa, and I would meet with him and help to get things set up at Ryerson and just be there for the events. We also had events at Goodman's, which is a legal firm downtown, and I met with many of the ministers there. I used to help to organize gifts for when the events were over to give to our speakers, and I used to coordinate sometimes with other organizations, sometimes with UCT. I got to meet people, some of the original people who had fought against apartheid, which was a big privilege for me, and to hear their stories, to hear what happened to them. And it was nice of them to come to Canada, considering Canada started the apartheid, which I didn't know when I immigrated here. I found out 1 year over the elections, the MPs were talking about it and how Canada started it. They tried to make up for it with having an input with Brian Mulroney into ending it, but it's very visceral when you come there and then you find out actually this is the country that started it. So I've been doing the Wits representing for about 10 years now. And when the representatives come, I do try to go out to meet them. When there's students that come here from South Africa, the South Africa Consulate General tries to organize a meeting so that I can meet them with the SRC. I try to do what I can on social media, even when all these demonstrations and all that took place in Wits. I did tweet to them and I said, come on guys, like the world is watching. You need to come to some kind of an understanding. Don't let people think this way of us, and don't let what people are doing at UCT, burning buildings and all that, don't let it come into Wits. So they told me, no, it's a small portion, it's just a small group of students that are doing that, and we will go back and we'll speak to them. So I try to do whatever I can from here, and all of this is unpaid work. I don't get any money from the one campaign. The only money I got from them was when they took us to do our training. So I put it on my profile now, because a lot of people are doing that. They're putting it as unpaid work, because when we volunteer, we have volunteer positions, but they paid for our flights and hotels. So a lot of people are listing it as work for the one campaign, and I'm doing it as well, because we do learn a lot of skills in it. We learn to liaise with the politicians, we learn how to lobby, we learn how to send our emails, tell our personal stories, and that's what they want us to do. We're not just doing it to get attention or to say, oh yeah, we are more important than other people. We're actually taking a risk and opening up so that the MPs know what we went through, so that they can push to get a little bit of funding out there and make sure that the dollars are used right when they get to Africa. And the same thing with Wits. I don't get any money out of it. I do it because I'm a graduate of Wits, and I would like to see things change and develop. And there are good things happening. There's a lot of partnerships that have been set up. People do donate money. So I've done a lot in Canada that is unpaid work, and also in volunteering, and I've done as much as I can to prove myself. It's sad to see what's happening in Canada today, that the unemployment is all in minimum wage jobs or sporadic work, and people can't get permanent jobs. And people who just came into the country are doing better than the people like me who have been here for 20 years. We do the work, we help them, and then they surpass us. They get into firms like Ernst Young after working at Teleperformance. They get into the banks. They get into the hospitals. And those of us who are here are saying, why? Like, how come they can get those jobs and we can apply for those same jobs and we don't get them? And especially with EY, Wits was very disappointed in them, for me, because they're like, why can't they help you? Like, you do so much for Wits University. There's so many South Africans working in all these blue chip companies. Why can't they help you to get something that pays you better? I'm like, I don't know. You have to ask them, because it's not just me going through it. With me, it's different because I've done a lot. I did a lot before I asked, can you please help to open doors for me? And nobody helped. They just wished me well with my future endeavors. So, you know, the professors and everybody, Professor Barry, Peter Maher, all the people that worked with me closely from Wits, they're very disappointed to see what has happened. But, you know, it gets to a point where it's too much. I mean, you do and do and do, and then it's like, when does this end? Like, when do you start seeing the rewards of your work and earning the good money and getting the breaks and getting the opportunities? And you're a good person. People say in Canada, oh, if you're a good person, good things will happen to you. When? When is that going to happen? Because I had all sporadic work, I had contracts. When I corrected people, I was punished for it. When I told people about security risks, nothing gets done. So I just look after myself the best I can now, and I carry on. But it's important to keep our reputation strong, keep our values strong, because after all, I'm not just representing people here. I'm representing people in South Africa, people in Zimbabwe, And with the church as well, I do a lot of volunteering, but I had some paid work when I worked at Regis College in the library. That was paid. It might have been minimum wage, but it was still paid. So I put all of that on my LinkedIn profile now. And I'm hoping and praying that I'll get a break, because nobody wants, we're all very, very sad to see. Nobody wants to land up with doubling of your rent and your costs and everything, and your wages are staying stagnant. And they're multi-billion-dollar companies. So anyway, that's what I wanted to touch on today, my volunteering, and talk a little bit about the organizations I've helped, the people I've helped. Where I could, I give money. Where I'm not able to give money, I take tin foods to the church, I give my time, I go out. And it's a good way to be with other people too, and to get to know people. Even if it's for that short time while you're there and then you part company. It's a good way to do it, because no one wants to be isolated and just sitting at home.